What's going on, everyone? So the last, 5, 6 months has been quite a journey for the Phoenix Suns. You get a new owner, pushes his chips to the table, goes and gets Kevin Durant with the expectation of, okay, we got Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and now next season, we can kind of build the roster that we need around those guys to be one of, if not the best teams in the entire league, and go and try to win an NBA championship. Then in a surprising move, they end up trading Chris Paul for Bradley Beal. And once again, solidifying hey, we are pushing everything in. We got these 3 stars. We got this big 3, and we are going to go win a championship, right? New owner, new expectations, and a guy that is willing to take the gamble, take the risks. Because they did. They mortgaged their future mightily. So they desperately need to win a championship in the next few years. Otherwise, it's going to be a long rebuild for the Phoenix Suns. But when they got into free agency, I had my concerns about them rounding out their roster. I thought they did a really good job rounding out basically what should have been kind of just scraps. I thought they got some real quality pieces. You look at somebody like the Dallas Mavericks. I thought the Dallas Mavericks actually didn't do the best job as far as building what that roster truly needed. I know Dallas right now is 4-1 as opposed to the Phoenix Suns, who look like a sinking ship right now at 2-4. But Dallas, 3 of their 4 wins have came on Luka heroics, right? I don't know how sustainable that is. And the Phoenix Suns, I don't think it's complete panic mode yet for Phoenix. They are 2-4. They've lost 3 straight. That's not good, right? They don't want to be in that position. Nobody thought they would be in that position, but they are a pressing concern because you haven't had Devin Booker. You haven't had Bradley Beal. You've had Devin Booker for 1 game, 2 games, 2 games so far. And they are 1-1 with him. But this is a problem that I talked about in the offseason, even after they acquired Bradley Beal. I talked about how if any of these guys miss significant time, Phoenix is a sinking ship. And I wouldn't be shocked if they're a play-in team or maybe even miss the playoffs entirely. Kevin Durant is doing everything he can to try to keep these guys afloat. And again, I think that they have nice pieces if you have Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant, right? But you remove any of those 2-3, I don't think the Phoenix Suns have enough to be a truly competitive roster night in and night out, unless, Devin Booker or Kevin Durant go on some just crazy, insane, super high, efficient level of gameplay. Kevin Durant is super efficient and high level, but you see him starting to get worn down towards the end of games. They're not a good defensive team. They aren't going to be a good defensive team, even with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. That was a real pressing concern as well. It's how does Phoenix stop anybody? But then it's well, you got Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. Teams have to stop them too. And especially Devin Booker, Kevin Durant are so efficient, it's you're going to have success. And at worst, you're an extremely tough team to beat, especially once you get to the playoffs. But if you have just one of these guys, Phoenix is in many ways just a pedestrian team, especially if Kevin Durant and Devin Booker miss any time, right? Because one, you're running the risk of burning out Kevin Durant early in the season. Got to remember, he hasn't been the best model of health. Not only has he not been the best model of health, he still had an Achilles injury not that long ago, and you're forcing him to play heavy minutes and try to carry a workload when he was not supposed to do that, right? I mean, Kevin Durant, you're averaging him 36 minutes a game, and the dude's averaging 30 a game and just, again, doing everything in his power. But you're going to end up running this guy to the ground unless Devin Booker and Bradley Beal return sooner rather than later. And, you look at Bradley Beal. I mean, this is something that is of the norm for him. That's one of the reasons why I thought they should have kept Chris Paul, because Chris Paul, yes, he gets run down too, and there's the injury concern with Chris Paul as well, but a lot of it has been he's the second guy and has to play 35 minutes a game. Where if you had Devin Booker and you had Chris Paul, right, along with Kevin Durant, you don't need Chris Paul to, one, handle as much of a workload. He can be the true facilitator, which Phoenix desperately needs. And then on top of that, you can keep his minutes low to around maybe 20, 25 minutes. You just have him kind of get you off to the start and then help you close the game. And then everything in between is where, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant can make the plays and can run and operate the offense. Right? And if Chris Paul's healthy, you probably are just as good, if not better. Like, I get the idea of okay, you get Bradley Beal, he's younger, he's much more dynamic as far as a scorer goes, but none of these guys are true playmakers. And these three still haven't played a game, a real NBA game, and even that's going to probably take some time to figure out. Right? So if we're 10, 15, 20 games into the season before all three of these guys get to play, it might take them 20 games to figure out for them to get into the season. And I mean, look at a team like Milwaukee. Milwaukee's struggling right now, and they just have to integrate Damian Lillard. Now, in this case, you're integrating essentially all three, because all three of these guys are used to being the number one option. All three of these guys are used to being the star. None of these guys are really playmakers. It's one thing to be able to make plays. It's another thing to have to be a playmaker, right? A lot of people in the NBA can make a play or, go and get 5 assists. It's another thing to have to do that consistently. It's one thing for a guy like Bradley Beal who can go get 5 assists a game, but not have to, right? It's another thing when, you're asking a Devin Booker or you're asking a Bradley Beal or you're asking a Kevin Durant to have to now go get 5 to 6, 7 assists a game, or all three of them have to go get 5+ assists a game, right? Because now you have to try to find that balance of, do I score here or do I play make? Devin Booker, he needs his shots. Kevin Durant, he needs his shots. Right? Does Bradley Beal have that adjustment? This is something that I talked about heavily in the offseason. That, look, if Phoenix figures it out and they're healthy, then there's no doubt that Phoenix is going to be one of the better teams in the league. But the Phoenix Suns have one of the toughest schedules in the entire league. They also have the number 1 toughest schedule in the Western Conference. The Lakers are number 2. So you have a team that has the toughest schedule in the West, in the Western Conference, which is an absolute juggernaut, without 2 of their stars, running the risk of wearing down or even injuring your 3rd star, and you still need to figure it all out before you get to the playoffs. It's just a tall ask this season. If Phoenix gets into the playoffs, they're probably going to be very good, right? They're probably going to be a tough team, but I'm not sold on them being a championship. I definitely think they're a contender. I definitely think they're in the conversation. I just don't think that they're going to be able. I don't think their guys, one, are reliable enough. They haven't been, right? And yes, when they get to the playoffs, if they're healthy, great. But you still need time to figure it out. You still need time to gel. You still need time to mesh. I mean, even LeBron, Wade, and Bosch took a year. Most of the time, it takes a year or two for these super teams or these powerhouse teams to be put together and figure it out. So you usually have the first year of like figuring it out. But if these guys are just constantly in and out of the lineup because one or two of them are constantly hurt, how are you ever supposed to really establish yourself? And because you have these three, max guys and you're paying all basically, 75% of your salary cap or whatever it is to three guys, I don't know how you're ever going to be able to build a team that's able to weather the storm. Again, if these three guys are healthy and these three guys figure it out, then you don't really have to worry about it. But, and like, I understand the argument, like, that's every team, but a lot of teams still have like depth, right? And can still kind of weather storms. I just don't see the case for the Phoenix Suns. They're in a tough spot, and you're forcing Kevin Durant to basically be a one-man show out there and try to rattle off some wins here and keep you afloat, but he doesn't have a roster that is capable of doing that. I don't think any of the three by themselves are enough for you to actually have success, right? Like if you swap Kevin Durant with Devin Booker, I think the Phoenix Suns are just as bad. Bradley Beal, definitely. I mean, if you remove Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and you just put Bradley Beal on the Suns, he has had better teams with the Washington Wizards in the weaker East and has failed to make the playoffs or has been a play-in team. So I don't know why the thought of him being able to carry the Suns if Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are out would be a thing. And right now you're seeing Kevin Durant not be able to carry the Phoenix Suns. And they've had what many would assume a easier stretch of their season so far. But I think the Phoenix Suns are in a rock and a hard place because they don't really have a way to fix this and improve it. And I don't know if they're going to be able to. I don't necessarily think that they'll be a play-in team or miss the playoffs because I do think eventually Bradley Beal and Devin Booker will be back and they will play enough games to at least make the playoffs. But again, I mean, the problem is you don't know, right? I mean, you're 6 games into the season and you're already having this problem. You still have 76 more to go. It's tough. It's tough. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of the Phoenix Suns? Do you think that they're in trouble? Do you think that they're a sinking ship? Do you think, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comment section below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. Lets me know to do these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notification. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.